There's a statistic in world football so precise, so singular, that it feels less like data and more like prophecy. In 12 World Cup matches, Senegal have kept exactly one clean sheet, one shutout, one moment where they held the line, held their nerve, and silenced everything. And that one moment, that single instance in a tournament spanning over 2 decades, came against France, the defending champions, the most decorated nation of the modern era. This is not just a football story. This is about what happens when legacy meets hunger, when empire meets uprising, and when the numbers say one thing, but history quietly whispers another. To understand what France have built, you have to look at the architecture of their dominance. They are a nation that has appeared in 4 World Cup finals in the last 7 tournaments, twice as many as any other country in that same span. In 1998, they lifted the trophy on home soil. In 2018, they claimed it again in Russia. And in 2022, they walked into the final in Qatar and produced one of the greatest performances a losing side has ever delivered. Kylian Mbappé scoring a hat trick in a final that ended in heartbreak on penalties against Argentina-Brazil. Didier Deschamps has been the architect of this era. He won the World Cup as France's captain in 1998. He then guided the same nation to the trophy 20 years later as their head coach, one of only 3 men in history to achieve that feat as both player and manager, alongside the legends Mario Zagallo and Franz Beckenbauer. Now, standing on the sideline for his 20th World Cup match in charge of France, he is chasing something even the greatest coaches never reached: 3 consecutive finals. Only West Germany, across 1982 to 1990, and Brazil, from 1994 to 2002, have ever done it. France are attempting to join that company. And then there is Mbappe. 12 goals across the last 2 World Cups, a number that places him level with Pelé, a number that puts him just 4 goals behind Miroslav Klose's all-time record. In 2026, with the tournament now co-hosted across 3 nations and more matches available, the record is not merely possible, it is within reach. But records do not exist in a vacuum, and neither do football matches, because standing between France and their next step in history is a team that has already humbled them once, in one of the most stunning upsets the World Cup has ever seen. June 2002, Seoul, South Korea. France entered the tournament as defending world champions, carrying the weight of expectation and a roster glittering with talent. Their opponents were Senegal, a team playing in their very first World Cup appearance. Debutantes, newcomers, a nation showing up to the world's grandest stage for the first time. And they won. 1 goal, scored by Papa Bouba Diop, sealed a 1-0 victory that reverberated across the globe. It was not a scrappy counterattack or a lucky deflection that defined the tone. It was composure, organization, belief that did not waver. France, meanwhile, were shaken to the core. They would go on to crash out of the group stage with a single point, a catastrophic implosion by any measure. What very few people know is that Pape Thiaw, Senegal's head coach preparing to face France again in 2026, was in the squad that day. An unused substitute in that famous match, he was nonetheless part of the journey that took Senegal to the quarterfinals of their debut World Cup, a run that also included an unforgettable golden goal assist from Thiaw himself in the round of 16 against Sweden. He has watched this fixture from the inside. He has felt what it means. And now, he is the man sending players onto the pitch against France for the first time as a head coach, carrying personal memory of what is possible. So here is the question that matters most. When supercomputers assign France a 65.6% win probability and Senegal just 14.9%, are those numbers capturing the full weight of what this fixture actually means? Because the data also shows something quietly unsettling for France. They have lost 3 of their last 4 World Cup group matches against African opposition. The 2002 defeat to Senegal was followed by a loss to South Africa in 2010 and a defeat to Tunisia in 2022. One win against Togo in 2006 is the sole exception. That is not a coincidence. That is a pattern. Senegal arrive in 2026 carrying more than football. They qualified for this tournament unbeaten, topping their group with authority. They have Sadio Mané, their all-time leading scorer, now 34, playing in only his 2nd World Cup, leading the line with 5 goals in qualifying. And they carry with them the raw wound of an Africa Cup of Nations that was taken from them. Having won the tournament earlier in 2026, the Confederation of African Football reversed the decision and awarded it to Morocco following a penalty controversy in the final. Senegal walked off the pitch in protest. That kind of injustice does not dissolve before a World Cup. It concentrates. France are not unaware of what stands before them. Deschamps has navigated World Cup pressure long enough to understand that tournament openers against difficult opposition define momentum, that the path to 3 consecutive finals must begin exactly here, against exactly this opponent. And yet, the memory refuses to fade. The one team that has ever shut France out at a World Cup is back. The one man who was part of that squad is now their head coach. The one clean sheet in Senegal's entire World Cup history belongs to this fixture. In football, as in most things, the numbers tell you the probability. They rarely tell you the story. Perhaps what matters more than what the supercomputer predicts is what Senegal's players will feel when they step onto that pitch. The inheritance of 2002, the anger of 2026, and the quiet, unshakable knowledge that it has been done before. Sometimes, history is not just context. Sometimes, history is the plan.